We can all agree that Agile is currently the default delivery framework for over half of the tech companies worldwide. Many people and companies have built various Agile delivery frameworks due to widespread adoption and corporate interest. But if that's the case, why do we hear so much about how ineffective and difficult it is to work with Agile? While Scrum may be a helpful framework for various projects, it's important to remember that it's not a cure for all of them. This video will explain how different frameworks such as Scrum may fit within your organization depending upon the type of problem you're trying to solve with the software products you're developing. I will describe how Cynefin framework may assist you in identifying the most appropriate delivery approach for your specific use case. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, my name is Vibor. I am an executive agile and leadership coach, and as part of my profession, I train and teach executives how to develop an agile mindset. And one question that I frequently get asked is, Vibor, do we even need to be agile? As I ponder this question, I am left wondering if people have a clear understanding of what agile truly is. Do we even understand what we are getting ourselves into? So I return the question by asking, what is Agile? Most executives begin by mentioning Agile frameworks such as Scrum or Kanban, while others cite practices such as daily stand-ups and the usage of Jira within their projects. Now, I consider myself an Agilist who is not bound to any single Agile framework, and I appreciate people who are dedicated to specific frameworks. But it is not the frameworks or tools like Jira that make us Agile. Those are just some means to an end. So then what exactly is Agile? And don't worry, I won't regurgitate the Agile Manifesto's values and principles, since in my opinion, that doesn't make us Agile. For me, Agile is that mental state that enables me to maneuver around well-known or previously unknown impediments, restrictions, or constraints. Let me say that again. Agile is that mental state that enables me to maneuver around known, like bad weather, or previously unknown impediments, restrictions, or constraints, like, for example, a tree falling on the road. If there is a fire in the room, I run out of the room. If there is a tree blocking the highway, I exit the highway and take a different route. And if a plan isn't working, I change my end goal. Wrong. I change the plan and keep moving towards the same end goal. Being agile is nothing but applying common sense to the current situation you are in. It is about doing the next right thing. We can learn quite a lot from Disney movies. In a situation where it's not clear what to do next, just do the next right thing. That's being agile. Coming back to the executive's question, do we need to be agile? In my opinion, I don't think there is any other way to live. You either be agile or wait for that tree to be removed, which might take a while. I've discussed more about what is agile and how to pitch agile to executives in this 3-part video series right here, which I highly recommend as many people have found it helpful. So if agile makes common sense, then what is the problem? The problem lies in the question. Instead of asking, do we need to be agile? The right question to ask is, do we always need Scrum? And the answer is a big capitalized no. We do not always need Scrum. Every business has to have an agile mindset and culture. An agile framework, on the other hand, isn't always required. There are a lot of scenarios, situations, and problems where waterfall or a different linear approach may produce excellent results. The challenge then becomes, how do we choose the best approach? Is there a way to select between waterfall and an adaptive framework? And the good news is that there are multiple ways to select between different approaches. The one I frequently use was proposed by Dave Snowden in the year 1999. It's called the Cynefin framework. Cynefin was initially developed to better understand how informal networks and systems such as humankind and supporting technologies such as the internet enable better connectivity when compared to formal systems such as companies, businesses, and organizations. Nowadays, the Cynefin framework is often used as a categorization model for systems, problems, and situations. Some people even call it the sense-making framework. According to Cynefin framework, an individual's perception of a particular problem, and it can be a problem that a software product solves, might fall into one of the 4 domains: clear, complicated, complex, and chaotic. It then offers a strategy that is most suited to solving problems in those domains. Let's look at the 4 domains and see how the Cynefin framework can help us pick the correct delivery/decision-making approach. Let's start with the chaotic domain, as most, if not all problems, start with a chaos. But what is chaos? Chaos, in simple words, is nothing but a state of complete confusion. Physics defines chaos as some random, unpredictable behavior. Chaos is the realm of unknowable unknowns. And the reason why it is unknowable is that in this domain, time is a scarce resource. So there is no time to probe or experiment to figure out the unknown, making the unknown unknowable. The strategy Cynefin suggests to face chaos is to first act. Act to stabilize the situation, make things calmer. Then sense the failure or success of that action and respond only after deciding what to do next. To understand this better, let's use the analogy of real-life firefighting. Suppose there is a building on fire. There is confusion everywhere. People are panicked. They need someone to tell them what to do next. In this case, the first firefighter on the scene would set up a perimeter around the building, issue evacuation orders, and use water and chemicals to put out the fire. Applying constraints on people's behavior and firm boundaries helps to stabilize the situation. Once the firefighters regain the command of the situation, they may relax the restrictions, allow individuals to return to the area, and remove the protective gear, all while scanning the environment for other potential hazards. In a software context, another example might be production defects. Your initial action is to quickly fix the defect and then investigate. This quick solution does not correct the underlying cause, but it prevents the business from losing the customer. When your project enters the chaotic domain, you are in the midst of crisis that you must resolve quickly to avoid more damage. Scrum is ineffective in these situations because you do not have the luxury to prioritize backlogs and select the work to be done in the upcoming sprint. Number 2, the complex domain. When a chaotic scenario is managed effectively, it naturally leads to a situation that is complex in nature. Complex is the second domain as described by the Cynefin framework. It is the realm of unknown unknowns where cause and effect relationships may be identifiable in retrospect, but cannot be predicted with any certainty, and where both what is needed and how to get there are not obvious. But the good thing about this domain is that, unlike chaos, in this domain you have the luxury of time. You can spend time probing the unknowns and figuring out what you're dealing with. Weather forecasts, stock markets, technology companies, and other systems that are considerably more than the sum of their parts are the example of the things that fall under the complex domain. To deal with complexity, Cynefin recommends first probing and conducting experiments, then sensing the failure or success of those experiments by gathering feedback, and then responding to determine what to do next, either increasing or decreasing the action taken during the experiments. In complex scenarios, we learn as much as we can about the situation, evaluate what is working and what is not working, and then adjust depending on our findings. This is also the domain we encounter when we attempt to develop new products or improve existing products that demand more functionality. Now, because complex scenarios need you to explore the problem and look at what you can do in a limited amount of time, this is the area where Scrum really shines. Number 3, complicated domain. Complex problems, when handled correctly, transition to the complicated domain. This is the realm of known unknowns and is the third domain in the Cynefin framework, where we know the questions that need to be addressed, but may not know the exact solution. Sometimes referred to as the domain of experts, it is at this time that we consult our experts. Experts like engineers, specialists, and architects who can correctly analyze the situation and propose the right solution. A complicated problem is solvable, but not by me. This is why I hire people to do my taxes, fix my car, repair my appliances, or maintain my dry cleaning. Such issues have a relationship between cause and effect, but it may not be obvious to everyone because the problem is, well, complicated. Complicated issues have several correct answers. There might be numerous signs and symptoms. An example of a complicated situation could be building a mobile app that requires a brand new technology. The strategy Cynefin suggests to face complicated problems is to first sense and see what's involved, then analyze and investigate using experts' knowledge, followed by responding and deciding on the appropriate solution using good practices. By the way, did I tell you that this domain is also called the domain of good practice? Well, now you know. Now we may use Scrum to resolve scenarios like this, but it may not always be the best approach due to its time-box nature. Since in-depth analysis and workflow of work items are most important here, lean agile frameworks like Kanban make more sense. Number 4, clear domain. Over time, complicated issues move into the clear domain as previously unknown specialist knowledge becomes more widely known, and more individuals learn how to perform complicated jobs. Pair programming is one practice that helps convert a complicated job into a clear one. Clear is the domain of known knowns, where the link between the cause and effect is obvious and known in advance. There are often processes already in place to address issues fitting in this domain, and best practices are already established. To deal with the problems in the clear domain, Cynefin recommends that we first sense and observe what is going on, then categorize and make it fit, predetermined categories, followed by responding using the best practices or the techniques that have been shown to work in the past. This type of domain is best for reproducing products over and over again, since there are steps that you can repeat to solve existing problems. While Scrum can be a way to address this kind of scenario, you can achieve faster and more certain results with a traditional waterfall approach, since you can find legitimate best practices that are documented everywhere. It's worth mentioning that Cynefin highlights the cliff between the clear and the chaotic domains. And this is because there is always a risk that even well-controlled and well-managed systems can devolve into chaos due to indifference, carelessness, or any number of other factors. These are the 4 domains in the Cynefin framework, but there's more. Cynefin framework talks about a 5th domain, the domain of disorder. Disorder occurs when we are unsure which of the other 4 domains we are in, and as a result, we fail to respond in an appropriate and timely manner. Disorderly states resemble a state of inaction and paralysis and can destroy significant value if sustained for an extended period of time. According to Dave Snowden, disorder is the state we are in most of the time. The Cynefin framework was designed to help leaders identify their situation and apply the appropriate approach to minimize the time spent in these damaging disorderly states. The Cynefin framework is an excellent model to assist in approaching different situations, scenarios, and problems. However, the only way to move through all 5 domains of the Cynefin framework is to have an open mind to new and innovative solutions, create a feedback loop, and most importantly, avoid analysis paralysis. So there you have it. If you like the video, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave your valuable feedback in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.